Hello everybody, this is Alexey Kavazin from Firebird Foundation, and today I would like to discuss with you how AI can be used to improve Firebird configuration. Right now we see many requests in forums, groups, in support emails when people generate Firebird configuration files, apply it to production and receive some problems. Let's consider the example with Claude. So I have registered the fresh example, and in the best tradition of how to use AI, with some recommendations, I will try to generate a configuration file for some server. So I will ask to generate configuration in general for Linux server, let's say Ubuntu 24 with 22 gigabytes of RAM. And I will say that I have 3 databases on the server. One is the main database with, let's say, 200 users, and 2 smaller 50 and 30 gigabytes with 50 users each. I will also tell them that I use super server architecture and Firebird 5. Okay, let's see what it will generate. Yeah, so it gives some promise saying that it will create. Okay, so let's see what it actually generates. So it takes some moment, generates some interesting things. Some recommendations, so on. Okay, good. So it says that I have created a comprehensive Firebird super server configuration. It says that default DB cache page is 1 million, some parameters and so on. And some recommendations. It says that apply changes to the configuration using the gfix minus buffers to apply changes to the header page. It says also that do some system tuning. Okay, so some information. So let's go through the result, generated configuration, and estimate what we actually receive as a result. First of all, it starts with the database cache, and it said, okay, let's put to the Firebird configuration, Firebird conf, default 500,000 of pages. So it calculates that 16 kilobytes database, it will be 8 gigabyte of cache. However, I did not tell the AI, I did not tell Claude that it is really 16 kilobytes. Maybe I have I have 8 kilobytes, but it assume it that it should be 16. Okay, but in general, the idea to put default DB cache pages to Firebird.conf, such a large value like 500,000 pages, is wrong, because it means that every database connected on this server will receive this amount, will try to allocate. And for example, if you will connect to some test database, to employee, to restored database, and so on, some development copy, it will by default will allocate this amount of pages. And as you can understand and quickly calculate, for 32 gigabytes of RAM totally, it is enough to have, for example, main database connection, 500,000, second database because we have, and third database. Yes, it is really possible to change the configuration of cache using the parameters in gfix minus buffers, but the correct and recommended way is to use databases conf. So in general, the Claude, the AI should generate two files, Firebird.conf with some moderate configuration and database conf with specific configuration for my databases which I specified. But okay, so that's not, not very pleasant, but acceptable, and it will not be some, some problem, let's say. After that, it says temp cache limit to 2 gigabytes. Well, first of all, it says that it somehow calculates it from pages, but it's not calculated by pages. It's calculated and is set using the gigabytes, megabytes, and so on. So 2 gigabyte is a bit small value for 32 gigabytes. Usually we recommend to put like 10% or maybe 15%. And if you have some heavy reports with big sorting, it can be even bigger. But okay, 2 gigabyte is like, like in Firebird 2.5, the maximum. It's an error, but a slight error, let's say, not a big one. After that, it starts to generate something like external file access, restrict var lib Firebird external. Well, I did not tell anything about the external files and so on, so it just, it generated this path, not sure why. Okay, generated. Even if the database it will be in something like opt databases or /data databases, it will not affect how Firebird works. Just, strange line not needed. After that, it really starts something strange. Okay, remote service port is fine. However, the calculation is set to the command to the port. So it does not relate with the port. It just, network port. After that, it starts to hallucinate and put parameter which does not exist in Firebird, max user connections. There is no such parameter in Firebird. After that, it starts to apply CPU affinity for super server. However, CPU affinity works only for Windows, and also setting it to 0 a bit strange. So by default, it should be just commented even on Windows to use all cores. Then it starts to do some assumptions, I don't know where it comes from, and change the event mem size. This parameter is really rare to be changed. Normally, you just leave it commented and that's all. But okay, maybe it will even not affect the what we have. When we have log hash slots, okay, it says for 3011 this value circulates on internet and probably it's okay. Log mem size 32 megabytes. Okay, also not a bad value, normal value. And for Firebird super server it's not really important, but anyway, it will not harm. And then Claude starts to hallucinate. So it puts log acquires pins 0. So this parameter have sense only for classic. For super server it does not have sense. Log signal, this parameter does not exist. And it continues with garbage collection policy, cooperative. For super server, garbage collection policy should be combined. Otherwise, there will be probably big problems. Could be big problems with the garbage collection. In general, there is no need to change it. If garbage collection policy parameter stays commented, it will be combined by the super server automatically, and for classic it will be cooperative also automatically, so nothing to be done. After that it starts really strange things. File system cache threshold. This parameter, actually, file system cache threshold, is deprecated. And for Firebird 5 and starting for Firebird 4, we have use file cache, and it should be true. And if this parameter is used, probably it also will generate the problem, will create the problem for the server, because the file cache will be turned off, and as a result the performance will be really bad. File system cache size 0 also, took it from, I don't know where it took from. When there are some portion of hallucinations and TCP no delay 1, why it should be TCP loop back fast path true. This parameter does not exist. Remote aux port. By the way, it says remote buffer size, but it says 64 kilobytes. I don't know what is it. It's for TCP remote buffer size. It also does not true that 65 kilobytes is optimal for LAN. Remote aux port set to 0. Why? Remote aux port is an important parameter. If your application uses the events, Firebird should open the second port to send events asynchronously. And for this, a remote aux port is used. If remote aux port is not set, comment it out, Firebird will select some random port. However, if you are looking to create more robust, more reliable network configuration, it's better to put it to some 3051 and close, all other ports. Just let remote service port 350, remote aux port 351, for example, and let it run. So no need also to change TCP remote buffer size. It is changed in very rare situations. After that, so it continues. Statement and query optimization. Okay. Max statement cache size 4 megabytes. Well, why 4 megabytes? Not clear. By default, it's, as I remember, 2 megabytes. Oh, but okay. Sort memory for each connection. It's actually not a sort memory for each connection. It's a temp block size. It is a size of change, increase of sort memory for sorting inside the temp cache limit. Well, 4 megabytes, no, okay, it can be. By default, it's 1 megabyte. Connection timeout. Connection timeout. Connection timeout, 180 seconds. It is default value, so no need to uncomment it. Dummy packet interval, setting it to 60 seconds can lead to some consequences. By default, Firebird uses keep alive settings from this operating system. And only if there is a problem with keep alive, zombie connections or something like this, it can be necessary to change dummy packet interval. However, in general, well, I would not change it. Backup and maintenance. It is not a backup and maintenance. Number of sweep threads. It is not a number of sweep threads. Max and flashed writes is a number of writes Firebird collect between flashes in the forced writes of mode. And max and flashed time is a period between flashes of cache in forced writes of mode. And this value 105 is, this value are default values. Database sweep interval, so it's saying something. It is not set inside Firebird configuration. It is set on the header of the database. Database growth increment. Okay, this is default. I don't know why to. Oh no, it's not a default. It's quite increased. But anyway, why to increase it? Not sure. Security database. Here you can see that it puts the specific location for the security database. And if Firebird will not find the security database on this path, it will give error. So I would also not change it. Our servers. So there is authentication plugins. Okay, SRP. There is some contradiction. It says that authentication server plugins should be SRP 2256 and SRP. Okay. But auth client, which specifies the order of selecting the authentication plugins for the client, also lists legacy auth. But if you did not specify it in our server, you will not be able to connect with legacy auth. So you should also put it to legacy auth to our server. However, it will be not consistent. It's possible to create such configuration, but it will be not consistent because you have user mentioned only SRP. It means that you will be able, DBA of this server will be able to manage users only in SRP plugin. Or what's, interesting. Why? Well, it's let's continue. Wire compression, wire crypt enabled, wire compression true. Okay, so it's possible. After that, login and monitoring. Max user trace log size and trace plugin. Max user trace log size should be set only if you are not happy with audit and some settings. By default, it also should be commented. Trace plugin FB trace. Okay, that's correct. Process priority leave default for super server. Correct. Leave default. Do not put 0 or something like this. Okay, so prosperity, I don't know why it likes to uncomment default values so much. The half of errors in problems and this generating configuration is due to the attempts to change things which should not be changed. Legacy compatibility, legacy hash enabled. This parameter does not exist. Relaxed alias check-in, 0. Okay, so it also default value, very rare parameter. Data type extensions, decimal precision. No, it's not decimal precision. Data type compatibility 3.0. Why 3.0? I did not tell that I want some data type compatibility for 3.0. It is totally optional. Time zone admin. There is no such parameter. So hallucination again. Optimization flux. Optimizer mode 1. Why 1? There is no such parameter. Read consistency 1. Okay. Also, by default, you should uncomment it only if you know what is it. By default, should just be commented. So the value is fine. Read consistency 1. Okay, let's go. Parallel workers for operations. 4. Okay, well, in general it makes sense, but it does not set max parallel workers. Okay, after that, some additional recommendation. What it says in general? What are critical errors? So some hallucinated parameters, not good. When it did not put use file cache, as far as I think yes, there is no use file cache true, so it means that the file and also system file system cache threshold set to low value, lower than default DB cache pages, so it will be the cache will be disabled and performance will be really bad on this parameter only due to these two parameters. Some strange parameters. Security database set. Probably yes, it will prevent starting of Firebird. And also in general the strange configuration saying that database, instead of using the database conf, use gfix to set per database cache. Yeah, it's possible to set per database page buffers, but it will be not possible to for example specify per database temp cache limit, which is totally possible in starting with Firebird 4, and some other parameters like log mem size and so on. So that's, in general this configuration is not usable, so it will not work. After some fixing, probably it will be possible to work. The idea behind the configuration is also not really good. So because it put default, big default value for page buffers, 500,000, and after that sets specific changes to the database's header, which is also not a good practice. Much better use databases conf. Okay, so we can tell it organize, I don't know how to say, organize configuration with two files, Firebird.conf and databases.conf. Correct errors. It's artificial intelligence, yeah, so it should think a bit how we could correct. And it immediately starts to generate even more things. File 2, databases.conf. Okay, this is, we will start our review with databases.conf. Main.db. Okay. Good, but you know, temp cache limit, why it is so small? 1 gigabyte. Forced writes. Forced writes 1. Forced writes cannot be set inside configuration file. It can be set only on the database header with gfix, gfix minus writes async or async. So this is hallucination. Page buffers again. So this is, and this is, you know, this is hallucination. This is correct. Security database. Well, you can put it, but you need to specify the full path, otherwise will be a problem. Read only false. Also a hallucination. Reserve space. Also, this is a hallucination. So, in general, it is not usable. And of course, the recommendation, do not use the general AI, even if you act like a Firebird DBA super specialist and Firebird developer, it will not create you the proper configuration file. So if Claude and ChatGPT produce, and probably other LLMs produce such a bad configuration files, does it mean that there is no use for AI in every day of Firebird developer and administrator? Of course not. And we are working actually on several tools, including these AI chatbot. So we have created RAG based on Firebird documentation, articles and materials, and trained the AI bot. Now it is in beta. What this bot will tell us if we will ask for the configuration file. It will tell the very simple thing. Go to Firebird configuration calculator and specify parameters like memory, users count, number of CPU, database size, and so on, and it will generate you the correct configuration file. At the moment, this is the best advice on Firebird configuration which AI can give to you, and also which I can give to all Firebird users. This chatbot is just a beginning. Soon I will present some more information and more real-life examples how it can be used. So stay tuned and see you soon.